All right. Ready for a deep dive.
Always.
This one's going to be a little more intimate.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about men's pleasure.
Okay.
We're using Sex with Emily as our guide here.
That's a great source.
Yeah, they're known for, like, practical advice.
Yeah.
So think of this deep dive as, like, your cheat sheet,
Okay, yeah.
for a better, more connected experience.
Interesting. And you know, what I think is really interesting is how Sex with Emily really emphasizes expanding the map of pleasure.
Expand the map of pleasure.
Yeah, they really focus on, it's not just below the belt.
Right.
It's about the whole experience.
Yeah, I was surprised by how much they talk about
Yeah.
erogenous zones. I mean, beyond the obvious.
Right.
Like, they talk about the inner thighs,
Uh-huh.
the nipples, even anticipation.
Yeah.
Is that something people actually, like, think about?
Absolutely. You know, it's recognizing that pleasure is a full body experience and
Yeah.
people respond to different things.
Right.
So it's really about finding what works for you. That makes sense.
And communicating that with your partner.
Okay, so I gotta admit,
Yeah.
when they started talking about testicle play,
Uh-huh.
I was a little taken aback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, how much can you really say about that?
You might be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, they're incredibly sensitive.
Okay.
Lots of nerve endings there.
Okay.
And it's not just a quick squeeze.
Right. Yeah.
There are actual techniques.
Oh, what?
Like gentle rolling,
Uh-huh.
light stroking, even like a warm compress.
Huh. So it's more like a massage?
Exactly. Think of it like a scalp massage,
Okay.
but with a lot more potential.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's really about finding those sweet spots.
Right.
Responding to your partner's feedback.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of sensitivity,
Yeah.
they had a whole section on premature ejaculation,
Uh-huh.
which, I mean, I know it's a common concern,
Right.
but they were talking about things like edging
Yeah.
and delay sprays.
Mhm.
Kind of a delicate topic. Right.
But it's important
Absolutely it is.
to talk about.
Yeah, and understanding how these techniques work can be really empowering.
Right.
So, like, with edging,
Uh-huh.
you're bringing yourself close to,
Yeah.
the point of no return and then backing off
Right.
to regain control.
Okay.
It's a way to train yourself to last longer
Okay.
by becoming more aware of your body's signals.
So it's about recognizing those signals and then managing them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then with promescent delay spray,
Yeah.
it's like a mild numbing agent
Okay.
designed for this purpose.
Wow.
It reduces sensitivity
Right.
just enough to help you stay in the moment.
But not like eliminating sensation.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But then they get into this whole other thing.
Oh.
Forced receiving.
Oh.
It sounds intense.
Yeah.
Bondage tape, restraint systems.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly your typical date night.
It's definitely outside the vanilla zone, but the key here is consent and safety. It's about exploring power dynamics
Okay.
and heightened sensation in a safe and negotiated environment.
Got it.
And, not everyone's interested in this type of play, and that's fine.
Of course.
Yeah.
But for people who are curious,
Yeah.
like, how does forced receiving even work?
Well, imagine being completely restrained,
Okay.
unable to move, while your partner focuses on pleasuring you.
Okay.
It's that sense of surrender
Right.
combined with anticipation
Yeah.
creates an incredibly intense experience.
Well, I can see how that'd be a turn on for some people.
Yeah.
And it kind of ties back to that whole expanding the map
Absolutely.
of pleasure.
Yeah.
Like, even something as simple as touch
Right.
can be a whole new thing
Yeah.
when you add in restraint.
Exactly. It's about pushing those boundaries,
Okay.
exploring different sensations,
Right.
and discovering what really gets you going.
So, okay, we've covered erogenous zones.
Uh-huh.
We talked about premature ejaculation. We even, like, dipped our toes into BDSM.
Yeah.
What else does Sex with Emily have for us?
Well, there's one more topic that might raise an eyebrow.
Okay.
Flavored lube.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking? Strawberry? Chocolate?
You'd be surprised. They have everything from the classic fruity flavors
Okay.
to more exotic options like
Huh?
champagne,
Really?
even spicy chili pepper.
Wow. Okay.
And these are high-quality lubes
Okay.
designed to enhance the taste and sensation of oral sex.
Okay, that's a new one.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical, but also intrigued.
Uh-huh.
So, how do flavored lubes even work?
Well, on a basic level,
Yeah.
it's about adding a sensory element,
Oh.
making things more playful, more enjoyable.
Yeah.
But there's also a physiological component.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like fruity flavors can
Yeah.
stimulate saliva production,
Interesting.
which enhances the feeling.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's not just a gimmick.
Right.
It plays on our natural responses to taste.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about one technique
Right.
or one area.
Exactly.
It's about the whole.
It's about the whole landscape.
And forgive with pleasure.
Yeah, and that's why communication is so important.
Okay.
Because what works for one person
Doesn't for another.
Exactly.
So you got to explore together.
Absolutely.
Be open, communicate.
Find what feels good.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of exploration,
Mm-hmm.
they talked about mutual masturbation.
Yeah.
It's not something we usually talk about,
Right.
but they presented it as a way to enhance visual stimulation
Uh-huh.
and intimacy.
It's a fascinating topic,
Oh.
one that's often overlooked.
Yeah.
There's a certain vulnerability
Right.
and excitement that comes from watching your partner pleasure themselves.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it creates a really powerful connection.
It's like sharing something really personal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can also be a great way to learn more about your partner's preferences.
Oh.
Yeah, what turns them on?
It's like a visual language.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way.
Uh-huh.
So for someone who's listening
Yeah.
and wants to try this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
where do they even begin?
I think the most important thing is to approach it with a sense of curiosity
Okay.
and playfulness.
Uh-huh.
Don't be afraid to experiment,
Right.
to communicate your desires,
Right.
and to ask your partner what they enjoy.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong way to experience pleasure. It's all about finding what works for you and your partner.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
The more open and honest you are, the
Mm.
more enjoyable it's going to be.
absolutely.
That's great advice.
Thank you. You know, we've only just started to unpack all this info.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
One thing that stood out to me was temperature play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they mentioned using ice.
Yeah, it sounded kind of intense,
It can be.
but also kind of interested.
Right?
What's the deal with that?
Yeah, it's about heightened arousal,
Okay.
creating a more dynamic experience.
So, like, our bodies are sensitive to temperature.
Exactly.
But how does it work?
You can trace an ice cube along your partner's skin.
Really?
Yeah. Or use a warm compress
Huh.
to create contrast.
But it's about, like, those unexpected moments.
Right, those jolts
Yeah.
could wake up the senses.
I like that.
And it doesn't have to be extreme.
Oh, okay.
Even a cool breeze or a warm bath can have an impact.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's about being mindful.
Of those sensations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sex with Emily also talks about the psychological aspects of pleasure,
Oh, yeah, right.
like communication,
Uh-huh.
emotional connection.
They talk about how feeling safe and desired
Yeah.
is just as important
Absolutely.
as any physical technique.
Feeling comfortable and connected
Yeah.
allows you to really let go
Right.
and experience pleasure more fully.
So it's not just the mechanics.
Right.
It's about, like, the space you create,
Yeah, intimacy and trust.
which leads to a more satisfying experience
Exactly.
for both partners.
For both partners.
That makes sense.
It does.
You know, talking about all this, it's
Yeah.
like there's so much to learn
There is.
about pleasure.
Yeah.
It's like we're all just exploring this.
It's a vast, uncharted territory.
right. It is. That's what makes it so exciting.
Exactly.
Always something new
Always something new
to discover.
that can deepen the connection
Hmm.
and the intimacy.
So for someone listening
Yeah.
who wants to try this,
hmm
where do they even start?
Approach it with a sense of curiosity
Okay.
and playfulness.
Huh?
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Right.
Communicate your desires
Okay.
and ask your partner what they enjoy.
And remember, it's a journey,
It's a journey,
not a destination.
not a destination. Exactly.
There's no right or wrong way
There isn't.
to experience pleasure.
You got it.
It's about finding what works for you
For you and your partner.
and your partner.
Exactly.
The more open and honest,
Yeah.
the better it'll be.
The more fulfilling and enjoyable.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
I think the takeaway here is, like,
Yeah.
there's no one size fits all
Right.
when it comes to pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's not just about,
Uh-huh.
hitting the right spots.
Right. It's about understanding the whole person.
The whole person.
Yeah, physically and emotionally.
Right. We've covered everything from
Yeah.
erogenous zones to communication,
Yeah.
emotional connection.
All those things are important.
And let's not forget about
Yeah.
temperature play.
Oh.
Flavored lubes.
Yeah, it seems like there's so many possibilities.
It's endless
Yeah.
when it comes to experience and pleasure.
And that's why it's so important to be curious,
Right.
open to trying new things.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
what might seem strange at first,
Could actually be something incredible.
that's true.
Yep.
You know, when we were talking about mutual
Yeah.
masturbation,
Uh-huh.
I was struck by like how powerful it can be for communication
Absolutely.
and exploration.
And it's not just physical.
Right.
It's about sharing something deeply personal
Exactly.
with your partner.
And it goes back to,
Yeah.
expanding that map of pleasure.
It does.
It's more than just the act itself.
Right.
It's about intimacy
Yeah.
and connection.
A deeper level of connection.
Yeah, so if we were to leave our listener
Mm-hmm.
with one final thought,
Yeah.
what would it be?
What if instead of assuming we know what our partners want,
Okay.
we approach each encounter with a sense of curiosity?
Oh, I like that.
Wonder,
Yeah.
imagine the possibilities if we were all
Yeah.
lifelong students of pleasure,
That's a good one.
our own and our partners.
Yeah, it's about constantly learning,
Exactly.
revolving, being open.
And never taken pleasure for granted.
Absolutely. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
On that note,
Yeah.
we'll leave you to explore those possibilities.
I love it.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Absolutely. It's been fun.